Yo, what's up for the Broken Fam? It's your host, Priscilla Cepeda, and thank you so much for listening. You guys, this is episode number 2. Woo, 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 woo. And I am so excited. Thank you guys for honestly sending me the most sweetest DMs and commenting about the first episode. I am truly blessed and grateful for all the positive feedback that I have received so far. And just thank you for taking the time to listen to me and listen to my story. So I just wanted to say, if you're starting off the day listening to the podcast, I hope that you find something to smile about today. And if you're unwinding your day listening to the podcast, I hope that you did find something to smile about today. Now, for today's episode, we're going to be talking about purpose. What is our purpose? How can we define our calling, and how can we navigate that and find that out in our own life? So I just want to talk about purpose. What is purpose? According to an article, the definition of purpose is more like a destination. It is the destination that we all want to get to in our life. And a calling is pretty much the road to get to our destination. So the calling goes hand in hand with our purpose. The calling is the journey. We all understand that everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a purpose that is generally the same. You may be wondering, so how does everyone have the same purpose? Our purpose, and as a believer or non-believer, and if you're a believer, you know that your purpose here on earth is to spread the good word and to get to heaven, right? We all know that in the end of the day, when we die, we want to get to heaven. Even those people that are non-believers, I know that after they die, they want to go to paradise. They want to make it to the other side. They want to go with a greater power. And you know, you have the idea of that you want to go to heaven, and in your own way, you want to spread the good news of that there is somewhere better than here on earth. I know that I can discourage, certain people that are maybe non-believers. When I say that to spread the good news, it is about being kind. It is about being generous. It is about being compassionate towards each other and understanding that we're all human. We're not God. We're not perfect. We will never be perfect. And we have to have that understanding to give each other a little grace. Instead of picking people apart, we need to uplift them. We need to show them that we love them and that we care for them, because we want them to also go to heaven, also go to paradise. That is spreading the good news. Me as a believer, I believe that God wants us to be spreading love and compassion towards others. God wants us to want people to know of Him. He wants us to have people be curious about Him. And if you are curious about Him, please open up. Just enlighten me a little bit. Just enlighten the fact that there is a God. So understanding that we all have a purpose, now our calling is all unique. And you may say, okay, Priscilla, so our purpose is the destination and the calling is our journey. And I'm like, yes, that's correct. So the calling is based on our experience, based on our personality, based on our gifts and talents that we can offer during our lifetime. And lastly, it's our passion. And so I want you to, as I move along and talk about my story of my purpose and understanding my calling, I want you to reflect on those things, those key things. I really want you to reflect because, like I said, you may have started off with this podcast and be like, I don't have a purpose, or I don't know what my calling is. I hope that by the end of this episode, you have an understanding and you're going to create this journey of fulfilling your calling, fulfilling your purpose. And trust me, I thought that, your purpose was something more complex, or your calling has to be so extravagant, something so, it needs to be right there in people's face. But honestly, your calling doesn't have to be so big or so extravagant. Like, I hope you understand, and this is what I understood, is that your calling is going to mold and shape and change as you progress in life. And it's going to look different in each seasons in your life. It's going to look different. It's going to appear different in all these different things that we go through in our life. And I hope that you understand that by the end of the episode. So I want to talk about me realizing what my calling was. So I understand as a believer my purpose. And so I wanted to dive into my calling. And so as a little girl, I always had something in my heart that I wanted to help others and to connect with people. But that was the general idea that I had ever since I was little. And I knew this because when I was little, even being just a little kid, I would get so fired up when I would see other people mistreat other people. I really didn't understand why, or I didn't like seeing people bullying other people. I wish that I spoke more loudly and defended people, because that was one of my things that I did not ever agree was people hurting people. And I just never understood that. And so as a little kid, you always have dreams of what you want to be when you grow up, and what you want to do and what you want to pursue when you get older. And fun fact, I thought that I would be a dancer, and my family knows that I love dancing. My husband knows that I love dancing. You could find me listening to music. There's always music playing in my house. My daughters, my little girls, they crack me up. But my oldest, she is a lot like me. She loves to sing, she loves to dance, and as soon as the music is playing, she's singing and dancing, and that's just me. I've always been like that. When I was a little kid, I would look at music videos and I would practice the dance moves, and I would try to show that off when we would have family parties. This is so cringy. I'm so oh my goodness. But I would practice the dance moves, and then when we would have family parties, I would show them off, or I would have my girl cousins, I would tell them hey, let's do a dance, a dance, and I would be more of the choreographer. And my family knows this. I'm always busting a move wherever we are at. I'm always busting a move. So that was fun fact. So I thought that I was going to be a dancer, and that did not happen. But I could say that, behind closed doors, I am a good dancer. Anyways, so when I was a little kid, I always imagined myself to become a nurse. And I thought, a nurse it's a good job. You're helping people, and you're doing a selfless act of being there for people and caring for them and showing them that you are there to support them and to take care of them and whatever they need. And so as I graduated high school, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to college to get my nursing degree. So as soon as I was getting to my senior year, I was trying to look at different schools that offered a good nursing program or anything like that. And the crazy part is when you think about it, you feel oh, as soon as I graduate high school, I need to figure this out. I need to have my 4-year plan, or my 10-year, or my 5-year plan, or my 10-year plan. After I graduate college, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have kids, yada, yada, yada. And I feel I don't understand why they make it such a big pressure for you at 18 years old to already know what you want to be in 10 years. I understand like maybe have an idea, but I feel like there is so much pressure of like you have to already know, like you have to have it figured out. And trust me, I am 30 years old and I still don't have it all figured out. And to any younger listeners out there that you feel like you don't have it figured out or anything like that, it's okay. Trust me. You're going to be fine. And life is crazy. Life, like things can happen in your life drastically from one day to the next, and it can be way off of whatever you had in your 5-year or 10-year plan. So don't be discouraged that you don't have an idea of what you want to do or what you want to be or what you want to become. Honestly, I hope that by the end of this episode, you can kind of feel more at peace and understanding that it's okay to not have it all figured out. And it's okay to just take it one step at a time. As I was finishing up college, I got married, and quickly as soon as I got married, then I had my first girl. And so I had to really work a little bit more than go to school. So in order, to help out my new little family. And so there was a lot of setbacks, and I understood that nursing school was very competitive. And so as I was getting close to trying to get into nursing school, I failed to get in. And I was so bummed out, and I felt such a failure because I didn't get in. I failed a class, and I couldn't even apply to go into nursing school. And so that was a very hard thing because I felt like, man, this is going to set me back. If I have to retake this class, then I have to wait another year. My graduation date is going to prolong and is going to be longer. And I just felt a failure because I would see a lot of my peers progressing, and some of them were already getting close to graduating, and I felt like I was barely a fourth, into my degree. So it was very discouraging at that time, and I just felt like I failed my little girl's dream to become a nurse. Even though I had that setback, and even though I was like, okay, maybe nursing is not my career, it's not what God has planned for me, there is something else that is related, because I always knew that my calling was to help people and to connect with people. So my next thing was okay, well, nursing didn't go well, and another thing that I really enjoy is psychology. So that's what I ended up with graduating, was my psychology degree, and I minored in counseling. And with all that, I finally did it, and with a lot of help from my husband, I was able to finish school. He took a lot of the responsibility of our little girl at the time, the first one. He took a lot of responsibility because I was trying to juggle working full time, going to school, and I was also, during that postpartum, I was trying to figure out myself and getting myself working out and all that stuff. So there was a lot going on at that point in time. As I graduated school, I was doing really good at work, and I would say that one of my coworkers, who I consider as my mentor, she pretty much took a big risk and be like, hey, I see the potential that you have. I want you to work with me, and I know that we're going to be a great team in this company. And at first I was like, I don't know, because I really didn't really care for the company or what I wanted to go for, because it was totally opposite of what I was graduating with. It was a cabinet company, and so I had clearly no interest in cabinets or in the corporate world. During that point of time, I barely got married, and I just had now she was 1 at the time, and so our little family had dreams and had goals and all that stuff. And so with a lot of consideration, I was like, okay, I'm going to set aside my passion or my calling, what I thought was my calling at that point, and I'm going to move into the corporate world. A lot of people don't talk about that as soon as you graduate, there's kind of like you kind of hit a wall of reality, or at least for me. And I don't know, with different degrees, it's a different kind of reality. But at least for my reality, I thought that as soon as I graduated college and as soon as I get my degree, I'm going to enter straight into my dream job and I'm going to get paid pretty good amount of money. And for my reality, that wasn't true. That wasn't facts. And so I was really bummed out because ever since I was little, my parents would tell me, like, if you have a higher education, you're going to make really good money. But honestly, factory workers, RV workers would make 2 times, 3 times more the money that I was going to make with me having a college degree. And so I felt so defeated with that idea of, like, this picture that I was always painted when I was a little kid, telling me, like, if you graduate, you're going to be in your dream job and you're going to be making good money. Well, that wasn't my reality in my case. And that was one of the reasons why I chose to step aside my calling or in my career and move into the corporate world. And with a lot of help from my mentor, my coworker, we built a really good team together. We were able to create really good partnership with the customers that we have built, and we were able to have a really good communication with our boss. I felt like, okay, so my career path, what I wanted to take, didn't work out, but I see so much potential where I was like, okay, maybe my calling is somewhere in corporate. Maybe in the future, I'm going to be a boss woman. I'm going to do something corporate. I'm going to keep climbing up and make it to the top. So that's what my goal was always striving to climb up, always proving that I can do it, that I'm capable. Also, I don't know if any of you guys have felt this in the office or corporate world where, I don't know, at least for me, I felt since I was a minority and a woman, I had to prove myself 2 times harder. I had to prove myself that I wasn't just a little girl, that I do have a brain, and just because I am a minority, I can represent myself, I can speak well, and I can work hard. Throughout my years that I was in that company, I worked really hard and really tried to show and prove people that I'm capable and that I can climb up if I really wanted to. And luckily, like I did, I had really good opportunities in that job. I was able to climb up to a point where I was making pretty good money, and I felt really proud of myself. But with a lot of that came ego-ness and burnout. And there was a point of time when I would say after COVID, where I was starting to see more money flow and to get more recognition, like I said, and that was a lot with the people that were around me, my mentors, my supervisor. They were all really good, and I was able to get all these opportunities. My ego-ness started to take over, and it got to the point where it's very hard to admit, but it got to the point where I was starting to compete with my own husband, in the sense of I wanted to be the bread maker. I wanted to show my husband that I am a boss woman, and that was very hard to accept. I would always try to tell myself and be like, oh, like, I want to climb up, I want to make good money, because I want to show my husband that I can be independent but try to make it into like a positive woman empowerment movement. But I was so wrong with that. I was so wrong of having my ego-ness get to that point. And with a lot of that, with a lot of me trying so hard to prove myself, trying so hard to wanting to be the bread maker, that turned into burnout. I got to the point where I was like, enough is enough. I'm so tired. I worked too long. I sacrificed so much time away from my family. I would do more than what was expected, and it was just eating me. And there was times where I just felt so guilty because a lot of moments of my little girl's like first years of life, it was mostly with my husband because I wasn't really around. I was there, but I wasn't there because I was either working long hours, I was studying, or I was working out. And so I got to the point where I was like, yo, Priscilla, like you need to take a step back, girl, because right now your body is telling you like, mayday, mayday, like red lights are coming off. You look like the Walking Dead. You haven't slept in years, and your brain is not functioning anymore. And so it just got to a point that I was like, okay, what do you want, Priscilla? What do you like? Do you really think that this is your calling? Does this reflect to how you feel? Because honestly, even though I did a pretty good job and I was doing really good, one of my favorite things when I was working at my job was connecting with people and cheering people on. My favorite part was to give them that recognition, like, you can do it. Whatever you put your mind into, you can do it. Just because you're doing this doesn't mean that you can't get to there. And if you want to go from here to there, you can do it with a lot of hard work and dedication. That was honestly one of my favorite parts, was connecting with people and just really being there with them. And even though there was a point of time that I would oversee a department in a sense, I love the fact that I was going down and getting in there with them and be like, hey, if you're drowning, I'm drowning there with you. If we did really good, no, you guys did really good. We did it together. We're doing this together. We did it. We got this. Because of all of us, we're here today. And if somebody would mess up, it's okay. We're all gonna fix it. We're all going to figure it out together. And that was my favorite part of everything that I was doing in that job. Wasn't off of the numbers or all the other things I would do. It was just the fact that I would try to help other people feel appreciated and feel like they could do it, and that they have all the possibilities if they put their mind into, and that I was always there cheering them on. So with a lot of hard thinking and a lot of myself of being like, hey, Priscilla, like, what is your calling? What do you want to do? I understood when I was reflecting that was my favorite part of the job, was helping people. So I already knew subconsciously that I still want to help people and connect with people. And I had to be like, maybe corporate or, this kind of lifestyle is not made for me, because I didn't want to ruin my marriage and ruin my relationship with my girls, because I felt so guilty losing a lot of the prime moments of my first girl. I didn't want to do the same mistake with my second girl. So with a lot of consideration and understanding that I wanted to do better in my life and to move forward with my calling, I was blessed and thankful once again with the support of my husband to get myself out of that job and really just take the time to be like, okay, what do I want to do? So that's what I'm saying. Like, people that are younger, and even if you're 30 or older, it's okay that you don't have it figured it out, that you don't have it all, your plan is going accordingly, or your life looks like all linear. There's going to be waves. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs, you're going to have your highs of highs and your lows and lows, and you're in between. Like, life is built to mold and grow, and all these opportunities. Like, you think that setbacks and all this stuff are bad things, but I honestly think that those are like the most crucial times where you're like, man, like, you got yourself out of that. Like, you learned something from that. And from your highs of highs, like, I feel like from your breaking point, you get to your highest of highs, and that's where you celebrate, because you were at your breaking point and you're like, no, I'm gonna move forward, I'm gonna keep going. And that's where you got to your victory and your whatever you wanted to accomplish. That's why you got there. It's okay to not know everything, and it's okay that you don't have it all figured out. Even if you see other people around you and they look like they have figured out, see, but here's the thing. Whatever you see around you and they look like they have it all figured out and all made, you really don't know what's behind closed doors. You really don't know if, even though you see somebody with money and you see somebody looking successful, you really don't know if they're sad or they're miserable with their life. Or even the people that look like, oh, well, they're bums in the streets. They look like they don't have money, but you never know. They could probably have money in the bank and they're actually more rich than you, and they prioritize other things than brands, name brand clothing and all that stuff. Like, you cannot judge a book based on their cover. You have to truly, if you want to get to know someone, truly get to know someone. Don't just go off based off, and you look at somebody for 5 seconds and then you're like, okay, I know their whole life story, I know where they come from, I know where they're at, or based off other people's assumptions. Like, we need to stop doing that. We really need to stop assuming the worst of other people, and even assuming the best of other people. Like, I'm just saying, like, you can't be like, oh, well, just because they're dressed like that, oh, they must be made out of money, or they must think they're all that, or they must think so highly of themselves. No. Like, why do we do that? Why do we want to always bring that toxic energy and assumptions and just thinking about that of other people? Like, why? Why do we do that? So going back with my story, I took the time to think about what I wanted to do, and I was like, okay, now that I finally got out of the corporate world, maybe I should go back into my career and see what opportunities I can go. I understand that I'm going to take a major pay cut, but at this point, that's okay. There's more to life than money, because money comes and goes, but what lasts forever is the memories that you make with people and how you truly live your life. Even if it's the most smallest things, like, you're living your life instead of being hungry with money and you're in this constant rat race. You don't get to see the beautiful sky. You don't get to see, oh, today the sun is out, I'm going to enjoy the sunshine, I'm going to go see the sunset. You get so consumed with wanting to make money that you lose all these precious little moments of life. During that time, I decided to get closer with God and truly surrender everything to Him and just be like, you know, God, I don't know everything. All I know is that my purpose is to serve you and to spread the good word, and my calling is to help and take care of others and connect with others. Lead me. I truly trust you and I truly surrender you. And honestly, I'm so thankful for Him, because like I said, through all the good and the bad, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And so I decided to take a chance and was thinking like, okay, I graduated with my psychology degree. At one point of time, before I went into the cabinet company, I worked in the school as a paraprofessional, and my life changed because I worked with this beautiful, intelligent little girl that was autistic, and she honestly changed my life. She showed me that the world can be so beautiful and can look so good without being so caught up into how we see the world. And honestly, till this day, like, I always tell her mom, and I'm so lucky and blessed that I still have a close relationship with her and her mom. But honestly, till this day, I always tell her, like, she changed my life. I have told her, like, she has always been my inspiration of wanting to go into psychology, and just my inspiration of being myself and understanding that I want to help people, and I always want to be a voice for people. And I'm not saying, like, just because you have a disability you can't have a voice. I guess more of a alliance, because I know, and when I was working with her as her assistant teacher, I knew that she was capable to do whatever she set her mind into. Whatever she wanted to do, she was able to do it. It may look different than how the other kids do it, but she would still get to it. She would thrive, and she's going to be independent. And it was such a beautiful thing to see how we first started when I was first with her to when I had to move on from being a paraprofessional, how much growth she made in a year, how much growth that she was more independent and that she would communicate with other peers. I just, like, little things like that just made my heart feel so good and just made me be like, yes, like, that wasn't me, that was you, like, you did it. I'm just here as a cheerleader. I'm just here giving you the resources in order for you to see that you can do it. And that's what I'm saying, like, it goes back to when I was working at the cabinet shop and working with my other peers. I felt so good when I'm like, look, see, like, you can do it, like, you did that. It wasn't me, it was you. I was just here giving you the resources so that you can see yourself that you could do it. Like, that makes me feel so good. And I can even reflect that to even when I was playing sports, when I was a volunteer for the GOS. Like, just seeing other people do the thing, like, just be able to see them happy and they accomplish, a small little goal that they have, like, that makes me feel so good. It brings so much joy to my heart. Like, even to this day, when I see, like, other girls around me and they're doing these awesome, incredible things, I'm like, wow, like, you did that. Like, I'm so proud of you. Like, even though I don't know you, like, personally on a personal level, like, I am so proud of you. And all the other peers that I have around me, like, doing their thing, I'm just like, man, like, I'm just so happy to see other people fulfill their dreams to do these beautiful things. Like, that makes me happy. I can watch TikToks of other people doing random acts of kindness and, like, doing the most sweetest, purest things for other human beings. Oh, I'm always bawling. I'm always crying. I'm like, oh, one day I'm going to be able to do that. Like, one day I'm going to be able to pay it forward, but in a big way. And it doesn't have to be something like, oh, it was me. No, like, I hope that one day it's, like, anonymously that I'm able to do it in the most impactful way to just spread and pay it forward to other people, because you don't know that little act of kindness can drastically change somebody's life. Sorry, I got a little off topic, or it's related, I promise, but I took the opportunity that I wanted to go into my career, and so I decided to become a registered behavior technician because in the long run, I thought that I wanted to go into that field. I ended up applying to be an RBT at the Lighthouse Autism Center here around my area, and that was one of the biggest accomplishments that I have done too. Honestly, like I said, the autism community has always had a special, and they still have a special place in my heart, and I loved it there. I loved my kids. I loved the coworkers that I had around me. Like, I really loved it there, and I felt like I was making a difference in those little kids' life. But here's the thing. I ended up leaving that job, and what sucked was that I was like, man, like, it didn't work, and I felt so guilty that it didn't work out. In the end, I was like, that specific job or anything like that, it didn't work out, but it doesn't mean that I don't care about the autism community. I'm still passionate about it. And so I came to that point where I was like, okay, like maybe this is not the career path, and this is not my calling. And so that's what I'm telling you, that your calling doesn't have to be something specific. It can be whatever the season that you're going to be in. So like now, I still have my calling that I want to help people and connect with people. And my next thing that I'm doing right now is creating this podcast and connecting with you and helping you guys out and talking to you. That's where I'm just like, okay, like, just because all my other past things didn't work out for me didn't mean that I failed. They were all things that were meant to happen the way that it did to lead me to where I'm at today. And where I'm at today is going to lead me to whatever my next step is, and so forth and so forth and so forth. In the end, I hope you understand what your purpose is, that we all have a purpose, but your calling is going to change. It's going to change throughout the season of your life. It's going to change, and it's going to go into waves. But instead of being discouraged that is not a linear journey, actually be happy and be excited that it's kind of like it's molding, it's shaping, it's creating a movement. Like, you're starting from here and you keep on going, you keep on growing, and you keep on growing. It's something to look forward to. But even through those tough times, through those hard times, there are lessons to learn and to maybe like humble you down. I understand that some of my moments and my lowest moments, I feel like humbled me down to be like, hey, like, Priscilla, like, yo, like, that's not you. Like, yo, that's not your calling. Get yourself humbled again. Get yourself level-headed again. Get yourself grounded, because you're up here. You're letting ego win. Now you need to come back down here. And so, like, I'm so happy in the end of all the things that I went through. That is why I'm here, to talk to you about suicidal thoughts, to talk to you about depression, to talk to you about anxiety, to talk to you about eating disorder, to talk to you about motherhood, to talk to you about being the first generation, to talk to you about generational curses, to talk to you about like all these things. Like, I'm happy. I'm blessed. At that point of time, did I feel happy or blessed? No, I did not. I was like, why is this happening to me? But as I moved past it, and I was able to overcome that through God and having a really good support system around me, I am now thankful and grateful that I'm like, yo, I made it. I want you now to feel uplifted and be like, okay, like, even though I don't have it all figured out, even though I'm barely starting this dream job or this dream career or dream school, or maybe you're like, oh, well, I'm not anywhere. Be like, hey, Like, it's just temporary. And this is just the first step of the next step and the next step and the next step of the overall purpose that we have. And our calling is going to look different. Even in your darkest time, you can just try to remind yourself, okay, it's just this moment, but I'm going to move past this. And whatever I'm going to learn from this is going to help me grow to whatever I'm going to go into the next phase of life. I just wanted to wrap things up saying that you are where you're at today for a reason. This is your season for a reason. Whatever you're dealing with is for a reason. And that to never lose sight of your calling. And to reflect and to think about, okay, what is my calling? And so I hope that you hearing my story and you kind of reflecting and being like, aha, I see it. Like your calling was still helping people. And even though you were thinking about, oh, like in order to help people, you had to be a nurse or you had to be a specific job title. But throughout your journey, you were able to help out this person and the people around you on this company and all this stuff. Like, I want you to look back into your life and be like, oh, well, even though my calling, I thought that it was going to be look like this, I was able to still do it in my own way. So I just want you to understand that it's okay to be confused or to be uncertain of what is going to happen, but have trust and faith that everything is going to work out. I just want to end with this. I want you to always remember, happiness always wins. Have a good day, guys. Bye.